All right, Alex, thank you so much for coming along today and giving us some of your very, very valuable time.
It's a pleasure.
I would love for some of our members to know more about Hoxby, because I think what you're doing and I think the ethos will really resonate with a lot of the people that we work with. So please, can you tell us, what is Hoxby and how does it work?
Hoxby is a purpose-led organisation. It was founded to create a happier, more fulfilled society through a world of work without bias. So what that means is trying to remove the biases that are inherent in the traditional work system, the industrial age hangover that we're all still working in despite living in the digital age in every other context of our lives. So, so we created this idea of work style, which is a word that didn't exist, but really to encourage people and help people come to terms with the fact that now, with technology being what it is, we can work from anywhere, and we can work at a time that we choose. And in a similar way to how we design our lifestyle, we should be thinking about how we design our work style as well. So rather than just walking blindly into 9-to-5 office-based thinking, we need to take it on ourselves and to start designing a work style of our own. So we've been doing it since 2015. We are now made up of anywhere between sort of 600 and 1,000 members. People come and go. But they are globally distributed. We're across 44 countries, and each person has a work style of their own. And what we do is bring them together into teams to deliver services for our clients, some of which are Unilever, AIA, Merck, Amazon Web Services, that kind of thing. The reason that those clients come to us is because we are working in a fundamentally different way, which means we're able to attract a workforce that is atypical. So we have all the workers who don't want to work 9-to-5 Monday to Friday. They are globally distributed and therefore highly, highly diverse, and much more diverse than a traditional organization might be able to hire themselves. So we talk about it in terms of collective intelligence, that a lot of organizations tend to hire people that look, think, talk, act, and sound the same. And actually what we try and do is hire people or bring people into the Hoxby community who are, you know, completely different and representative of the diverse nature of the human species across the world, because we can bring a different perspective that way, and we can be collectively more intelligent by being purposely diverse.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wonderful mission, and I'm not surprised that it's grown to such the extent that it has over a very, arguably speaking, very short period of time. And I think a large explanation for some of that growth is also the members themselves and what they can bring to some of the projects. Clearly, the work that you've done, you don't get repeat business if you deliver shoddy work. So, I mean, tell me something about the qualities of a Hoxby member. What are the sort of people that you're and I appreciate there's a lot of diversity there, but what makes a good Hoxby member?
They are driven, aspirational, mostly focused on trying to create change, have an impact. Hoxby is a B Corp, so we measure ourselves against our purpose, and everybody who comes into Hoxby therefore has to really believe in that purpose. And we find that people who make great Hoxbys and who stay as part of the Hoxby community for a long time are people who have a real reason for work style, for wanting to design their work to fit around their life, whether that's because their life is impacted by having children or caring obligations or physical and mental health conditions, any manner of things that people have, highly individual life circumstances that mean that 9-to-5 traditional working doesn't work, and therefore work style is really important to them. So when we're looking for new Hoxbys to come and join the community, that's what we're really looking for, is people who are going to really benefit from work style and who can really see how it can change their lives.
And one of the things that you said initially was about, how you want to kind of eradicate the bias that might exist, and kind of use and have people in the community who are really about bringing their brains, their talent, their skills to the table, and you enabling that. One of the things that our audience quite often faces is the very, very real and very, very obvious barrier of age discrimination. Tell us a little bit about what you would consider about an audience of people who are largely speaking, and obviously we have some people in their 40s, but largely speaking over the age of 50.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about removing bias, we're looking at the sort of conscious and subconscious biases that exist in the sort of traditional work system. And a lot of those are based on input, what we can see, the time we spend together, who's present, who's not, and what they look like or what they sound like or what they wear. It's actually got nothing to do with what they output, what they actually deliver. And the Hoxby model, because work style means you can work from anywhere at any time, those things become completely irrelevant and actually immaterial. We don't really interact with one another and collaborate with one another in the same way. It's much more based on what you deliver. And the system is built on trust. It's actually a trust first system. That means we have to trust one another to deliver what we say we're going to do. If we let each other down and we break that trust, then that's on us as individuals. So for older workers, I think that's a really important thing. I mean, the average age of a Hoxby, I think, is 43. So I would say that we're doing quite well in terms of representing humanity. So I think what that means for anybody coming in to Hoxby is, firstly, losing a lot of the sort of trained behaviours and biases and assumptions that you might carry over from traditional working, but also learning about conscious inclusion rather than subconscious bias. It's about being open and collaborative with groups of people that you might not have worked with before, but understanding that there's a collective benefit in doing so. And so I think that really helps everybody in the Hoxby environment to get along, and I could see it would be beneficial for your members as well.
Amazing. So tell us, Alex, what's the application process for becoming a member, and when does this kind of recruitment window for you at the moment, when does that finish?
Good question. So the first thing I should say is Hoxby doesn't have any offices. It also doesn't have any employees. So everybody who's part of the Hoxby community is self-employed. So I would think of Hoxby as one element of a portfolio career if I was one of your members. But to apply is very simple. We have a form on our website at hoxby.com, and that form is asks a question. We want to understand who you are as a person, and once we know who you are and what your motivation is, we then bring you through the kind of onboarding process of understanding more about your expertise, skills, what you might be able to contribute, what you'd like to get out of Hoxby, and that sort of thing. And then there's no fee to join. It's completely free. The only thing we do require is a level of insurance, professional insurance cover, which is which any freelancer should have, really. So there's no cost to join. There is a little bit of work, a bit of admin. There's some insurance that's required, but there's also a profit share payment that we hope balances that off.
Yeah, and the possibility of, as you say, building up a portfolio career. Although it's probably worth also mentioning that you don't guarantee work. Sometimes people can join the community if you've got. I mean, ultimately, I guess the work that you require is dictated by the clients who are paying the bills. So. It's quite hard to specify up front, and I appreciate the nature of consultancy is such that the client is kind of dictating the need to a large extent. But I guess it's one of those things that people won't know what's available. You won't know what skills they've got until they're actually joining. And given that there's no cost involved, and given that there's only really upside, right? It's an interesting model. It's a fabulous way of working. And I think it adds very much to what at least I think our audience are looking for, which is some of that autonomy. Definitely the need, to embrace the kind of the work style. There are often competing demands on people's time. So, I think the model has got real value for our members. So I'm really grateful that you've given us some time today to talk us through it all.